I'm recording, and we'll get started here in just a moment. All right, folks, welcome to the Sierra Vista News Network. We're coming at you live here from the Sierra Vista Public Library, and we're sitting down chatting with the team of Project Paranormal Arizona here today at the library. We've got a lot of fun and exciting things to talk about with you today. But first, let's go ahead and have each of these young men introduce themselves, and then we'll talk about what they're doing here in the community and around Arizona. And if you guys haven't seen these guys, you're definitely going to want to check them out. We've got a special premiere of their new episode coming right at the end of this interview, so stay tuned for that. Guys, go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us about who you are, a little bit about your background, and what got you into doing this.
Yeah, my name is Justin.
My name's Daniel.
And I'm Mark.
And basically, we're Project Paranormal. We're a longtime group of friends that are interested in the paranormal, and we've always wanted to tell people stories and also do investigations and kind of, not over-exaggerate like some of these television shows do at times. So that's kind of where this came from and was birthed from, and that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, for me, I've been a long-time paranormal enthusiast. My day-to-day job is a very technical and logical, software development guy. But I grew up in Bisbee, and being in an old house built over 100 years ago, I always fancied, eventually finding something unexplainable. I'm still searching for that, and hopefully we can get further into discussing that later.
I'm from film school. I'm probably the film guy of the group. You always watch the movies and the TV shows, and it's really enjoyable. You get a good thrill out of them, but you're still not there. And I've always wanted to experience it myself and try to bring it so that people can come along with us, so that they too can experience it.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about that. When I spoke with you guys a little bit about the platform and how you guys are kind of formatting your show, it's not like the typical, paranormal activity show that we see. We've seen TAPS, we've seen Ghost Hunters, and in a lot of respects, they set up a lot of satellite cameras like in one room, and they leave it alone all night and they go back and review it. What are you guys doing that's so different compared to some of these other shows that we've seen before that have kind of paved the way for you?
I think the biggest thing that we're doing differently is we're trying to make you feel like you're on this journey with us. That if you're, say, a fourth member of the team, you are there with us and exploring all the rooms, all the locations. And so that is why I think what kind of separates us, because we want you to feel like you're there. And I noticed in some of these other shows, they'll do a lot of cuts, and you might see only a very small portion of a location, but we're trying to show everything, and in the process tell the story and the history of the location, and do our own investigation at the same time.
Yeah, I think for us, it's also kind of an experience of getting comfortable with our equipment, getting comfortable being in front of a camera too as well. While we've been, a lot of us enthusiasts with technology and everything else, being in front of the camera is also something new for us. So it's also a growing experience in getting comfortable with the technology and being a part of this new blogosphere of being able to share our experiences with the viewers online.
Yeah, they have it where it's what is that? There's that app, Periscope, where it's like you can really give people that live feel, like you're there right with us at any given time, and there's no gaps in between. If we could really capture that feel, then I think we've done really good service for our audience. So,
you guys have done how many investigations so far?
Officially, now we've done 2. We've done some prior stuff long ago, but this, as officially as Project Paranormal, 2 with a 3rd one we're planning next week.
Yeah, I've done several in the past, kind of just informal. It was a group of friends, and we would actually go and do, visit a couple cemeteries, bring some cameras along, see what we got. It was never really done in a format that we could say, we're going to put this all together and come up with something at the end. It was just to go kind of experience.
And I'm basically the newbie of the group. I'm one of the friends that has gone along with Mark in the past, but it's been very rare and few, so I'm really happy that, I guess, time is just lined up perfectly where we all 3 have the time to do this.
Awesome. And so what was your your most recent investigation that you guys did, it was an old hospital. Can you tell us what was the name of the hospital, where was it, and how did you guys get that all lined up?
Yeah, so the old hospital is in Ajo, Arizona, and it is originally owned by the Phelps Dodge mining company out there. It was originally called the Ajo Cornelia Hospital, and now it is actually semi-known as the Copper Canyon Paranormal Research Center, where people can actually pay to go and check it out themselves, whether overnight or on tours. So that's the location, and that's where we went this last investigation.
All right, awesome. So what I wanted to do now was talk with each of you guys. I want you guys to share maybe a personal experience from your most recent visit to this hospital. Maybe something that we're not going to see in the premiere at the end of this interview here. You know, whether it's an event that happened that, you know, shook you to your bones, or maybe something funny. Share a little bit of a personal experience with us.
So for me, there's kind of two of them here, and one of them you get to see a very small bit on, but we separate in the video to do a nursery kind of room challenge, and everybody has to go off alone, and I could not do it. I kind of stopped dead in my tracks leaving the home base, and it was just, I just couldn't move. I needed somebody to go with me. You see a brief glimpse and narration of that, but then there was a portion of the event where I was looking outside the window, and this is could be totally random, but Daniel's car lights, like when you click the clicker, went off, but there was no beep, no audio, and I was like, Daniel, did you click your car? And he's like, no, and he clicked it, and then we heard the beep, and the windows are open in this building at the front, so I didn't hear any sound, but his lights flashed, and it was just really strange. So you don't see any of that in the episode though.
Yeah, and I guess for me, I really thoroughly enjoyed the night. It was all kind of, I don't want to say a big blur. I mean, we were excited to be there as long as we could, but if I had to pick out something from the event, it would be probably a confirmation of what Daniel was experiencing in the nursery room. I went up by myself as part of that challenge, and I started going up there. I was taking my time, and I did hear a scratching and crackling kind of noise, and I was like, oh my god, is this really it? So I'm not quite sure if we got that in the footage, but the personal experience was that I came face to face with about a 12-inch centipede that was inhabiting, living in the paint cracks of the wall. Was pretty much, you know, that was it for me. I was like, okay, it's not paranormal, but I'm scared.
Yeah, I would say, you know, I have two to drop. So, a funny one is I was the first to go off on alone, and for some reason, I guess I thought it was like a challenge. You know, we're supposed to challenge ourselves, and we want to make it like a dare. So all I had was the radio, and I had the infrared camera, and that was it. So I basically walked off into the dark. And you'll be able to see that, but it's funny because I learned later, it was like, they even asked, like, didn't you bring a light with you? And I was like, no, I didn't think that was what we were supposed to do with that. But yeah, when I was up there, I heard some scratching, and I don't believe we actually were able to hear it, which is a shame. And that sent some big shivers up my spine. The only other thing that happened that it's a little bit on there, but I didn't have a camera on hand at the moment, is I just basically went off into one of the side rooms, which I guess it was basically a bathroom. And when I walked in there, I swore that I heard two women whispering. So at first I thought it was Justin and Mark talking outside the room, but no, they weren't. And so that right there, like, it really jarred me. I was like, what am I hearing? And I could have sworn it sounded like the voice of two women talking.
All right, awesome. Thank you for those stories. It sounds like this episode's going to be gripping and keeping people at the edge of their seats. You guys have another hunt coming up, so to speak. Tell us about that location and what we will probably expect to see coming out of it.
So that location is one of the oldest buildings still in town, which is the old Daisy Mae's Stronghold restaurant that's been closed for quite a few years now. But history reports that that was an old brothel, an old postal service building, and that it is actually haunted by a ghost named Charlie, who apparently, even if you were to put a shot glass down with a certain type of alcoholic beverage, he will sometimes drink it. overnight, and the shot glass will be empty in the morning. So that's a place we're going to, and it's kind of perfect timing because from what I've heard, that place was going to get renovated, but it was stopped due to people wanting to preserve the history of that building because it is such an old location. So we're actually heading there next week, and very excited for that.
Awesome. Do you guys have anything that you want to tell our audience as we lead into premiering this episode of the hospital you guys just interviewed? Or you guys just explored, I should say?
I mean, for me, I wanted to talk about, like, we get different people asking us questions like, why do you do this, or how hard is it? I do it personally because I'm just very into this, and I always want to have my own experiences versus seeing it on TV, and what's real and what's not. So that's one of the biggest things, and to share the stories and the history and the lore of everything that we go and explore. But the hardest thing actually is getting people to communicate and talk to us about going to a place, whether it's abandoned, whether it's privately owned, or maybe someone just doesn't want to talk about it because they think it might make them look maybe a little crazy even, because people even said we seem maybe a little crazy for going to these places, but really that's probably the hardest thing with this is finding the place, getting it booked so we can actually go and do what we want to do.
Telling people stories and then being able to bring the world along with us.
Yeah, and I guess for me, being a native of Southern Arizona, I was born in Douglas, raised in Bisbee. There's just such a rich and long history and culture in Southern Arizona, and places like the Phelps Dodge Hospital was a place I didn't even really know existed. And so we're just kind of scratching at the surface and hoping to find out, see what else is local, and then hopefully branch out from there.
Cochise County is filled to the brim. We are a hotspot of paranormal activity in Arizona, definitely.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys aren't just looking at doing hauntings. You guys are looking at doing other types of things as well. Share with us a little bit about the other types of investigations that you guys want to get into.
I mean, paranormal really can be classified as anything that's unexplainable. So, I mean, UFO encounters or stories that, somebody has a story about an abduction or maybe a Yeti or a Sasquatch thing. I mean, people laugh and scoff, but there are people that believe the things that they encounter or they might hear about. So that anything goes really as far as paranormal, but, hauntings seem to be a classic one that people like to focus on. But we're really above it all that. We want to try to take a little bit of each if we can.
Yeah, urban legends.
Yeah, I've always had a soft spot for cryptids and mysterious creatures, and I've also had a personal UFO experience, and I hope to explore that in kind of a side project or small episode alongside the rest of our projects. And I know we got some stuff to back it up, and looking forward to doing some sky watching. Hopefully you see something else out there.
All right, awesome. So before we premiere this episode, I wanted to take an opportunity and have you guys explain to our audience how they can get in touch with you, where they can find you guys, where they can follow you from. Go ahead and give us that information, and then we'll roll right into this latest investigation of your guys'.
Yeah, if you guys would like to reach out or find us, you can find us on Facebook at Paranormal or Project Paranormal AZ, or you can find us on PRJ Paranormal on Twitter. And then there's also Project Paranormal 83 at gmail.com right now. You can reach out to us. The best way to get a hold of us is via DMs on Facebook, and one of the three of us will reach out back to you. But don't be shy. We want to hear your stories, so it's the best way to go forward.
All right, awesome. And for those of you who have been watching this interview and are eagerly awaiting the start of this latest episode of Project Paranormal Arizona, here you go. We're going to go ahead and push out this live here on Sierra Vista News Network, coming at you exclusively here, and then they'll also have it on their YouTube page and on their Facebook page as well afterwards. So definitely check these guys out, enjoy the episode, and we'll catch you next time.